Ain't got no pie for you. I'm so hungry to eat.
Another one that I feel like doesn't get enough love from the later seasons. This is just an overall solid battle. And because the content, the lyricism, the flows, they've really kind of got it down to a science by the time we get to season 5. Even the season 5 and 6 battles that are just a little bit base level, to me, still hold a lot of weight over a lot of the earlier ones. This is a well-structured, evenly matched battle between two different ideologies from two different people at different points in time, and I really think that they just get really good jabs in at each other. Guy Fawkes hitting Che with the whole, like, how does it feel that your whole ideology has basically been watered down because now you are a commodity, your face is on stickers, it's on shirts, it's all that kind of stuff. And at the same time, Che pointing out to Guy how he's a failed revolutionary and how, like, your head is on a spike, like, you ain't pull it off. You make sure your match works first, right? Like, if you're gonna do a rap battle with two historical figures and you're not using a gimmick like naming or something like that to put them together, this is what you do. Two different ideologies, two different causes, two different outcomes, or similar, but you know what I'm saying, like, in terms of where they were in their process when they met, you know, success or failure. I think this is a well put together matchup, and it's just solid all around. So it's one I will come back to. I also love the editing on this one, particularly when Che tells Guy to take another dive and they have his body swing back and forth. I think that shit is dope. Okay, I ain't gonna hold you. I forgot how hard the shit went. I forgot how hard it went until I played it back. I forgot how devastating it was. Oh my God. Like, the Terminator just clearly clears RoboCop here, but RoboCop ain't no slouch. Like, he didn't come without bars, but when the Terminator did the whole "I still love you, Alex" in his girlfriend's voice, like, dog, the battle should be over and you should be throwing hands, right? Like, at this point, you should be throwing hands, which RoboCop does kind of proceed to do. He kind of starts to get angry. Like, he does the whole, you know, the second verse is sort of starts off calm where he's like, you don't know love, you don't know honor, and then just kind of proceeds to lose it as they go back and forth with, like, the third verse is them kind of punching back and forth. But again, I just think, again, another well-written battle, again, with two franchises that are often talked about together in a sense, right? I know, once again, I was born in the 80s, so, like, but during the 90s, when 90s and 2000s, when RoboCop and Terminator were a thing, those were two things that were compared together, right? And then getting the Governator at the end to do a little cameo, I thought that was pretty cool too. So, okay, here we have another season 6 battle that I don't. Some people don't like this one, and I don't understand. I feel like it's so well put together. Now, obviously, this is a Freud stomping, but we're not gonna act like Mother Teresa ain't have the flow. Also, she had some really funny and good bars. Obsessed with masturbation, but you're off the beat. But we knew what kind of time it was gonna be on when Freud starts his verse. Jokes I can make about your looks, abundant. Your chastity vow, redundant. Hey, listen, man. This is an all-around good battle. Like, Mother Teresa didn't get mollywopped so hard that she had nothing to say, but her flow is saving her more than anything else, right? And the second Freud verse where he's like, an exception to my theory. I can't believe this. Here we have a mother that no one wants to sleep with. Like, it was over at that point. She fought a good fight, but it was over. I love this battle. It's one of my favorites. The beat is cool. I love the flow of Mother Teresa. I love just kind of the precision of which Freud attacks. All around solid. Again, if you've been a fan of the series since the beginning and you kind of don't go back and revisit some of these season 5 and 6, you're really doing yourself a disservice. They're some of the best battles in the series. But for this one, I'm jumping back to a season 4 entry. A lot of my favorites are ones that I tend to see that people don't really talk about as much. Bill and Ted versus Lewis and Clark is a really good battle. And I mean, as much as I kind of dunked on the Mario and Wright brothers battle not having enough substance in it, Rhett and Link were not the reason why, right? Like, Rhett and Link do a great job whenever they show up on here. I don't follow their, like, normal content, but I do respect what they do when they get on here. And then Bill and Ted doing their corny, you know, 80s dude jokes. It works so well. They would have stopped you in Dakota. They should totally sue. Always gets me. Lewis and Clark immediately dismissing and saying, I'll take Neo. I'll take the one that no one knows at all. And Bill's dejected face afterward is just, it's great. It's really good. I go back and forth on who won, because I feel like Lewis and Clark were solid with their jabs throughout, but like the daggers that Bill and Ted give go a little bit harder. And I lean towards them in this because the second verse is really good to me, right? Like, I've seen your future, Mr. Lewis, and I don't want to be rude, but spoiler alert, like, hey, that whole setup and delivery to me is usually what seals it. But otherwise, again, a solid battle. I feel like people don't talk about this enough, so I'm going to give it its flowers here. You know, it's really hard to write a long battle, let alone have it be solid throughout. I have not read the Lord of the Rings series, and I've never read Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones and everything like that. But I know enough about these two authors to understand what's being said here. And again, it's one of the ones that's made me go back and rewatch it and listen to it over and over again, because I want to soak up all of the references and the meanings, right? This is just a solid, really good, well-rounded battle. I feel like, you know, you might look at the surface level and go, oh, it's two authors and they both have, you know, R's and all of that. And I like how they acknowledge that in the battle, the pirate line. But I really just like how they're digging at each other's writing styles and philosophies, with, you know, Martin digging at how Tolkien indulges in fantasy and nobody dies and there's no consequences. But then Tolkien's response is essentially, it's fantasy. Like, why should we have to play by the same rules of reality? And so I like seeing that, like, dichotomy at display here. And I think that's really dope. This is just like, and I'm sure if you are somebody who's read both series or read one of the series or just loved the franchises, the movie franchises, that you would probably get more enjoyment out of this battle, and it's probably higher for you. But I think this is incredibly solid, whether you have the base or the background knowledge of this battle or of the authors or not. Season 2 has so many good battles that I can't definitively declare this as like in the top 3 of the season, but it's really good. And I think that even though it's very clear that Ruth is meant to be the winner here, that Armstrong does deliver a lot of barbs and jabs. One of my favorite lines from this battle is, you set records before black men could compete. That whole little stanza there is one of my favorites in the entire series. But Ruth absolutely annihilates this dude on the second verse, especially with just kind of the setup, the breathless one take flow sort of thing that he does to just completely eviscerate Lance Armstrong. I think is just one of the best verses in the series overall, let alone how this battle transpires. So for two battles that are just back to back, people barring each other and just expressing vile disgust and hatred, I love the fact that this was done with Legos. I feel like it completely captures just what they're saying to each other and just sort of the epicness of the two of them, right? Of being two Greek gods. I think it works better to do this as Legos instead of two people in makeup, right? So this battle is sort of elevated by that. But the lyrics themselves, oh my God, the verses themselves, they were not holding back on each other. And I feel like that is what really makes this. And I know it essentially boils down to Zeus saying that, you know, Zeus calling Thor weak, and Thor essentially saying, your people hate you. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants to be around you. I feel like that really captures the essence of those two pretty well. So yeah, no, this is one of my favorite battles for that reason. The creativity of it being in Legos also takes it to another step, but just all around a solid battle. Speaking of two people hating each other, oh my God, the Cleopatra and Marilyn Monroe battle. The only thing that's stopping this from being higher than it is the fact that it's so short and Marilyn gets an extra verse. And even with the extra verse, she does not win. Even with the extra verse, she does not win. I do wish this would have been a little bit longer. I wish they would have kind of given them each like a longer and proper verse. And I know it was sort of seen as like the designated catfight woman battle for a long time. But like Cleopatra's bars, the miscarriage line alone might be one of the best lines they've ever written for this series. And I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was Peter, Lloyd, Zach, or Angela Timber who's playing Cleopatra. I hope whoever it was continues to eat well. Man, I don't know where they found Wax hiding, but I appreciate him coming in and playing Freddy Krueger. I love the setup and the remix of his theme songs to open the battle. And he gets a lot of good jabs in that first verse. But like, let's be real, Wolverine just obliterates him in both verses. Jason can't talk and he rocks the mic better is one of my favorites. I could defeat your ass with a cup of tea. The second verse where he says you're a pedophile from the Midwest, but at least R. Kelly could sing. Like, bro, oh my God, he didn't have to do that to him. He did not have to do that to him. You know, Freddie gets some decent bars in, but this is the Wolverine show. This is just, it's one of my favorites for a variety of reasons. But yeah, Lloyd as Wolverine just steals the show here. Another season 6 battle that deserves more love. Jacques Cousteau and Steve Irwin. The bars they give each other are immaculate. Having the back and forth verse the second time around is amazing. I really love what they do with Steve Irwin here. I think the Jacques Cousteau verses are great. They're fantastic, honestly. And something as simple as you're chunky and soft and you get on my nerves. I don't know why that gives me a good laugh every time, but it honestly does. Using Steve Irwin's first verse to describe Cousteau how he would have described an animal in his show, like, it's so well done. I know part of it is speaking to my own nostalgia as somebody who grew up watching The Crocodile Hunter, right? But again, this is an episode that is very well produced. The beats great, the verses are fantastic. It's just all around solid. If you haven't revisited this one in a while, I highly recommend it.
Nope. My zip. Nope. Stop talking. Go to jail.
Okay, we're inside the top 30 now. The John Wick, John McClane, John Rambo battle is insanely good. I know people don't care for Rambo's verse. I think it's the funniest of the three because I think Peter just fully commits to the bit. But also, he's got some good jabs in there. Like, let me go ahead and get this out the way. Most of his really good ones are aimed at McClane. The whole losing his voice saying, McClane! South is married where your marriage went. The last tight thing you slid in was a hairband. McClane just being a giant ass to the other two in the battle in terms of how he's going at them was great. John Wick just sort of being himself, being a smooth assassin. I mean, he wins the battle by a mile. Like, to me, he does his verse, he gets out of the way, he does a little back and forth with them in the end, but like, his verse was so clean that there's just, you know, there was really nothing Rambo could do. But I like all three of them, the way all three of their verses are. I love the idea of a three-way battle and how they just kind of went at each other. It was something unique and different for the series, and I think that's dope. All right, this is one that's usually in people's top 10s, and I get it. I'm not trying to be a contrarian by putting it this low. It's just not my thing, if that makes sense. It's not one that has always been my flavor. And I get it because people go back and revisit it now and they're like, oh my God, they were right about everything. Look at HAL 9000. But like, HAL 9000 comes from an earlier form of media, right? Like the whole idea of robots and artificial intelligence being ever present in a problem has been a human idea for decades at this point, probably longer for those that are more into like science fiction, pop science, and scientific history. I'm more on the humanities, so you know, my fault for not knowing. But Steve Jobs and Bill Gates have great jabs for each other. The "I got a PC, but it wasn't from you" is probably my favorite line from the entire battle. Gates going on a rant after Steve Jobs dies is also funny. Them doing the "I'm a Mac and I'm a PC" commercial throwback thing was also good. I know it wasn't really a throwback at the time, but I still enjoy kind of seeing that now. I think this is our first like 4 or 5 way battle on here. Carlin versus Pryor is you hear me say it a lot in this video that I think it's overlooked, but I don't think this one is overlooked as much. I think this is just one that's so dominated by Joan Rivers by the time she shows up, which really this battle is a setup for that. Hear me out. I do wish Cosby would have gotten more of a verse primarily because Gary Anthony Williams came in riding the fuck out of that beat, okay? You forgot the cars and you know it's a mistake. I ate MCs for breakfast like they made on chocolate cake. Like, that boy came in eating that shit, man. But I get it because what they did with him works anyway, and it sets up Joan Rivers extremely well. And let's not forget how Richard Pryor and George Carlin were going at each other in the beginning too, because they were barring each other out. The "that's funny" line usually gets me pretty good. Carlin's first verse is all around excellent. And then Robin Williams, I know a lot of people give this one to Robin, and it's usually that last verse bias. This is Joan Rivers' battle. I'm sorry, like, this is her battle. She won it, and I don't know if there was too much that Robin Williams really could say or do. Karl Marx and Henry Ford is a proper 3-verse battle. They both get really good jabs in at each other. The more memorable lines from Henry Ford are about, Karl Marx stinking. So, like, get off the soapbox, take this up with you. You came from Cologne, like you could have used some. Like, I feel like those two were a little bit of low-hanging fruit, but he does deliver a lot of good bars throughout the battle anyway. I think the best standalone verse is Marx's first verse, just kind of him setting himself up and then talking through his achievements and pointing back at Ford. But the low blows in this battle are fantastic. Henry Ford saying, if you had saved a penny for every daughter you named Jenny. And then Mark saying Edsel's stomach cancer showed more love than you did. Like, god dang, these niggas hated each other. The best line though might be Karl Marx saying the Auschwitz line, the knowing Auschwitz side you were on. Like, it's so well done, so well delivered. It's a beautiful closer. Like, it's perfect. So yeah, this is a battle that if you haven't really revisited since it dropped, you really should, because it is one of their best. The first presidential battle. I don't think it's quite here where they realize they kind of wrote themselves into the corner. I think it probably is 2024 where they realize that, as I talked about a little bit earlier. But one thing that I really appreciate about the presidential battles, and this more so happens with the ones that we're going to talk about later, is that they do a great job of actually incorporating the words of the represented politician into the battle, with the exception being Obama's first verse, where he's more so giving like classic rap battle lines, right? Like, got your hand so far up your rear, call you mid. Like, they're doing the whole traditional rap battle stick, but it starts to flip at the whole 47% through kicking your ass, and then they start kind of going back and forth with their whole thing before Abe interrupts. I am putting this one a little bit higher than I probably normally would because of the impact of it, right? Because of the importance of this battle, this sort of became a core staple, and I think it's their most popular or most watched battle. I haven't gone back to check. I'll probably go back while I'm doing editing. This is one that is carried by the way that the rappers ride the beat. This is Gradsky going away, like, plain and simple, but the back and forth is so good to me on this one. I do love my favorite line is definitely Gradsky saying, oh man, we got so many records between us, like 184. That's crazy. Actually, I'm responsible for 183. Like, it just shuts the battle down right there. But it's not to say that Tony Hawk does not have great verses, because he really does. But Zach Sherwin is one of the better writers and rappers that they have in their group, in their collective of people that work with ERB, outside of, like the more well-known artists who've jumped in for a time or two. But Sherwin is one of the most consistent people who appears and just delivers every fucking time. Every once in a while, I'll hear myself saying something like, that verse was rough. Damn, Tony. So let me smooth it out like I'm a damn Zamboni. But the way, like, how he immediately goes into that verse where it's a street fight, T-Hawk, shows some respect. Like, that line right there shows the layers and the entendres that ERB gets away with. Street fight, T-Hawk. Like, just come on, man. Like, just, they do so well with layering shit that every time I see it, I have to point it out. I'm like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme on the couch. A bonus battle that is absolutely one of my favorites. Boba Fett WAP is an all-time line from this series. Like, they just give each other great bars during this. Even Deadpool's intro, where he's like, oh shoot, well, let me tell you my issue. Like, I don't know nothing about you. Like, and then when they're doing the back and forth, and he's like, 5 lines in the trilogy, and one of them is like, the beat is chaotic but precise, and it matches the dichotomy between the two. This is also, of course, before The Mandalorian became a thing or a series. I believe that's both. I'm not up on Star Wars lore, so don't shoot me, please. I'm sorry. But I think it just kind of shows the personification that Boba Fett has, and of course it becomes completely different if you were to do this battle now. But I just gotta say it again, I'll beat your ass with one eye closed. Boba Fett WAP. Like, come on, man. If you haven't noticed already, I really like the first half of season 7. I know some people didn't care for the audio effects of this one, and even though people know what they're going for, right? Like, it's not a matter of people don't know what they're going for. People know what they're going for, and they didn't like the maxed out audio, the peaking audio, and all of that. And I get it. I feel like it adds to it. These are some of the funniest bars in the series. Like, the Godzilla really does show why he hates this man, right? Like, just from the beginning, he's giving him bars. Like, he said, you know what, I eat like some Tokyo play. You get spoon-fed the plane, like, here comes the airplane. I know I doubled up some words there. I ain't say it perfectly, but you know what I mean. King Kong's versus being about how basically Godzilla's films always flop unless he's in them. The whole calling him Lizzie. But Godzilla's first verse is just nasty. For a social primate, you sure seem lonely. Your only friend is a damsel in distress. You're a chimpanzee. Like, that whole little scheme, like, come on, man. And I got the line wrong. It was, I eat up a whole city like some Tokyo play. Like, that whole thing, man, like, Godzilla was rapping. He was rapping, but then Kong immediately comes back. And he does the the face facts can't cause you can't feel seat yourself. Like, come on, man. It's just the whole back and forth. Worst kaiju comeback since Pacific Rim 2. You ain't a rap Godzilla, you more like Pray to Me. Like, come on, man. They left your balls on a Hollywood cutting room floor. Like, they were going at each other. And to top it all off, I know it's not a bar, but I love the way King Kong comes in on the third verse going, anyway, right after Godzilla references the balloons that he's flowing in on. Like, the whole battle is just well put together. It's a fantastic back and forth. It is, like I said, one of my favorites of that season. Listen, if you can pull off getting Weird Al in whatever it is that you're doing, go get him, because you know he's going to give 120% every single time. He kills it as Isaac Newton here, but it's a even back and forth to me. I know Neil deGrasse Tyson getting involved in the end sort of leans it toward Bill Nye, but, you know, Isaac Newton did bar him up. Just from the get-go, of all the scientific minds in history, they put Beaker and a bow tie up against me. Like, come on, man. Like, from the get-go, he's telling you he don't take this man serious. You want a battle guy? That's a crazy notion. When I start flowing, I stay in motion, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, that is some of the best opening lines in the series. Like, if we're being 100%. And like I said, Bill Nye ain't no slouch, because he starts talking about something like, you know, what did you do with the back half of your life? You ain't do nothing. Ain't nobody love you. You were alone. And the whole comparison he does with Newton in the back half of the verse, where he was like, you wrote the book on gravity, but you couldn't attract nobody. Your work on orbits was exemplary, but your circle of friends was shoddy. Like, come on. Like, that is good writing. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the verses that makes me go, these dudes can write. Epic Rap Battles is full of really good lyrics and bars, point blank. And let me not overlook it. Pulling in Charlie Tuna from Jurassic 5 to do Neil deGrasse Tyson was also dope. I love the way they set him up with Newton asking the equation and him jumping in to basically solve the equation and pushing back. Like, it's a real solid battle. It's a real good battle with two fantastic guest appearances. It deserves to be where it is to me. Okay, so here's a shining example of letting two of the better guest rappers on ERB have their own battle. I don't know why Watsky works so well as Edgar Allan Poe, but he really does. I also feel like they regret not using some lines for Edgar Allan Poe here that they go revisit in a later battle, but that's for another time. Watsky and Zach Sherwin are just very technically skilled as rappers. That kind of is like the cliche of like YouTube white rappers, where they're very technically skilled and they try and kind of put out the lyrical miracle thing without it really being lyrical miracle style, if that makes sense. But I know that Watsky is very big in like the nerdcore scene, if I'm correct. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. But that's one thing I always appreciate about when the two of them show up. It's going to be very technically skilled, right? It's going to be rap and rhyming at its purest form, and that's what they do here. And, you know, for most people, if they filled up Stephen King's verses with just references to his books, it would come across as not good or corny. But Sherwin does it so well here. He is wrapping it within the disses that he's throwing at Edgar Allan Poe. And I think that's what really makes this one work as well as it does, is that not only, it feels like they wrote the barbs first and then pulled in the reference second, if that makes sense, instead of trying to tie it around the reference. And I really, really appreciate that about this battle. But the Telltale Heart floorboards into King's final verse, where he goes, speaking of bored, you're the worst. Like, that is probably my favorite exchange from this battle. But I know Stephen King got on Twitter and was like, oh, I think Edgar Allan Poe won. But I feel like that was just him being humble. And yeah, no, Stephen King won this one. No! Spell my name. The ladies want to be on D. Any sex appeal you might have is beyond me. Like, Ben Atha, the person playing Bond, I think I pronounced his name correctly, does a great job as the Daniel Craig Bond. I also like how I don't really watch the other rap battle channels just because they don't stick for me. But I do appreciate how he came back and played another Daniel Craig character in the the detective rap battle that was, I'm not sure who that was that Freshly Knall? Either way, I'll put the picture frame up here of it. But I feel like he does a fantastic job here. The whole first verse where he's just kind of like, this is why I'm better than you. And that leads into the second verse where he's just like, I don't even need to be, like, what are we doing? I don't need to be here, right? Like, he's treating Austin Powers as a joke before the Sean Connery bong shows up. But Austin Powers, I really think, did enough in that one full verse to win the battle. I know it quickly devolves into a Bond versus Bond battle, and Austin Powers is merely like the conduit to make this happen. But, like, hey, man, I'm sorry. Like, immediately rebutting Bond's verse with the Basil Edition told me this would be boring, but damn, man, like, even my dick ain't awake. Like, that whole setup is crazy, and then doubling down on it afterward. The "you're defenseless" setup into "all the sex I ever had unprotected" delivery, like, come on, man. The Nice Peter does a thing here, and I don't know if anybody else notices it. He does it on a battle that shows up later too, where he's demonstrating one thing and another thing and turning it into two. Like, he puts left finger up, right finger up, smashes them together and shows the number 2. He does this more than once, and it's not a crazy thing, but it's one of those, if I had a nickel for every time this happened, I'd have 2 nickels, blah, 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 blah. And I just, that is the only thing that bothers me when I watch this battle, because it's the second time he's done it. It's pretty cool how this battle went from one of those like flash in the pan shorts that they were doing for a time when people would just like request unserious shit like PewDiePie versus whoever. But also I realized from all of these engagements that I have seen from looking at the videos or people talking about stuff on TikTok or through Twitter, BlueSky, whatever, that a lot of people watched this in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, so a lot of their suggestions and their engagement with it was at that level, which makes more sense why that was such a popular request. Anyway, I'm missing the entire point. Burger King versus Ronald McDonald's is one of the most well-written battles in the series in terms of their back and forths, in terms of what they're saying to each other, the arguments, where they come from pop culturally, and even though like facing defeat is corny on the surface level, the fact that it's tied in with the Burger King foot lettuce is just great. The makeup for Ronald McDonald was also terrifying. Like, let me just get into that. The makeup it's very well done, but it's very terrifying. And I'm not a clowns are scary type of person. I've never been scared of clowns, but that shit looks weird. And after the shock of Wendy entering the battle wears off, you realize that she didn't win. Like, she did give some good barbs there, and she basically was like Wendy's Twitter personality from back in the day as a rap battler, which makes the most sense, right? Like, that is the time to pull in Wendy's. This is the exact occasion that Twitter account was made for. But ultimately, it's not enough, just because the jabs between BK and Ronald are so good that there's not enough she could do in that one verse. This one's another fan favorite, and I have got to agree, it's a very solid battle. I know a lot of people have this in their top 5, or even some people have this as their favorite of all time. I don't go that far, but this is just like, it's one-on-one. It's Roosevelt and Churchill trading barbs. It is the whole, like, Teddy's entire opening verse is just flames. Like, your whole country's the size of one state. I could like see through that in my sleep, right? Like, his whole thing of just sizing up the UK, sizing up Winston Churchill, calling him a drunk old man, like, and I don't know how popular this is because he does clear Churchill pretty easily. Like, Churchill has bars, don't get me wrong, and Dan Bull once again giving a damn good performance, but like, the things that Teddy is clocking Churchill over, Churchill really doesn't hit back as hard, because Teddy's whole thing is like, yo, you needed us to bail you out. You have this little ass country and you still needed our help. Whereas like most of Churchill's bars are like, yeah, your family died early. You're not one of the most iconic presidents in the US. You like 5th or 6th place. And I was at war while you were running around with national parks. Never mind the fact that Teddy's whole thing was being this tough as nails war general or whatever. Like, as racist as the man was, he's probably one of the most badass people to ever hold the position of president of the United States. Like, just, it's kind of hard to play that down. Okay, say it with me. Another season 6 battle that is criminally underrated. I know a lot of people don't like the way that Dracula gets bodied here, but he does give some good lines. But oh my god, Vlad the Impaler particularly that second verse, the setup and the kill. Did you shift shape those punchlines because they missed? Your skills are like a reflection. It doesn't exist. That right there won the battle. And then to proceed to go into the beat by Count Dracula, you're smoking Cracula. I dunk on your Wackula, raps like I'm Shacula. And at end of day, you're back, and that's only half a battle. Bruh, come on. Thanos versus Oppenheimer is one that shouldn't work because the comparison is very surface level, but it does work. I know a lot of people don't care for Thanos' second verse in particular, where he references the Thanos copter and Fortnite and all of that, but he still does deliver like great bars in that first verse, especially the only thing you're good at wrecking is a home. That whole setup ending and you should have gone for the head, bro. Come on, like that. He was cooking there, but Oppenheimer just got him. The way they capture Oppenheimer's delivery, especially using the I Am Become Death tape and using that as the foundation of his voice inflection, the way they set up his bars at that pace, it's just really, really well done. And I think I love how this came out before the Oppenheimer movie. Like, I know it was in the works, or it was known that it was happening by the time this came out, so they probably started writing this around the time of the announcement because it just made sense. But yeah, they do this one extremely well. This is one of the best like character acted ones to me with Oppenheimer. Again, I know Thanos left a lot to be desired, but I still absolutely love this battle. This is a really difficult battle to pull off because if you don't do it right, it becomes a jumbled mess. Having 6 philosophers go against each other based on where they are from. Shout out to MC Jen for finally making an appearance in an ERB. But 6 philosophers no matter where they're from. And then to have the concept be that they are going to turn on each other because inherently they cannot agree because they're just made to disagree, because that's what philosophy is. It's just challenging yourself and thoughts and beliefs over and over and over again. But I think it's so well done. It's the Eastern philosophers setting up the Western philosophers to argue with each other. It's Socrates saying put a sandal on the door instead of a sock, that I think is hilarious. I don't know how many people really appreciate that line. I fucking appreciate that line. So whoever wrote it, thank you. Let me be frank. Don't start the beef with the Frank who hangs with B Franks, giving ladies B Franks. Like, bruh, again, the writing in this series, when they want to write, they are some of the better, like, I was going to go really hyperbolic and I shouldn't do that, but they are extremely talented as writers and I really want that to be appreciated more. This is one of the nastiest battles in the series. This is one of the most devastating, some of the hardest hitting bars they deliver in the series. The things that Harry Potter says to Luke Skywalker, oh my God. And vice versa, because Luke Skywalker's first verse was no laughing matter, right? Like, bear in mind as I say this, again, I'm familiar with both series, but they were never my cup of tea growing up and even as an adult. But you don't really need to be that embedded in them to get these bars. I do think Luke takes the first verse, but I think it's kind of like Harry realizes what he's in for during Luke's first verse when he's like, I planted your seed, right? And he goes down the whole diatribe of how their stories are alike. And then Harry's like, oh shit, let me wake up a little bit. The Slytherin or sister line goes hard, no pun intended. You've got a lot on your plate. On one hand, the rebellion. On the other hand, oh wait. Like, the rest of Harry's third verse is not that crazy. He does end it well and land it well. And Luke's rebuttal just isn't as strong. Like, I think the second verse is what puts Harry over the top here, but Luke didn't get blown out like I think a lot of people believe. Okay, here's the season 1 battle you were looking for. Einstein versus Hawking is the one. Like, that's the battle that made me go, oh, I want to see what this series is really about. I got introduced to that one first, and like I said, but at the time that I got introduced, I think there were only 9, so it was through Napoleon versus Napoleon, and this was the peak, right? Like, the other ones were kind of funny to me then, but this is the one where I was like, oh. Stephen Hawking doing the auto-tune caught me so off guard, because it's like you sort of see it coming, but you don't know how it's going to sound. You don't know what they're going to do. And the fact that they just gave him that voice and that style of rapping is perfect. His bars, honestly, don't even hit that hard in that first verse, but that they're 10 million. It is such an iconic opening to a verse, or really an iconic verse for ERB. So by that measure, I really got to put it this high. But it's also just a good battle. It's a funny battle. Einstein delivers a lot of barbs. I think that's the first appearance of Jack. Oh God, I can't talk. That's the first appearance of Zach Sherwin, right? I know he had helped them write or something like that, but that was like the first time he was on camera. Either way, we need more Zach. We need more Zach. I know he's shown up a lot, but we need more Zach because these are the kind of performances that he turns in. So yes, Stephen Hawking playing Angry Birds while rapping against Einstein, even though he can't use the... Anyway, it's just all around. It's brilliant. It's great. I love it. This is an all-timer. It deserves to be in the top 15 no matter what, forever and ever and ever. Okay, another one that I know people have as their top 3, top 5, or even their number 1. This is all around one of my favorite battles for a number of reasons. It is the first time that we end up with 5 people in a battle, right? And the verses from Rasputin and Stalin are fantastic. Like, mind you, I just will sit around thinking about Stalin's quote where he goes, "You think I give a fuck about my wife? My own son got locked up in prison. I didn't save his life." Like, his opening to that verse is insane. His entire verse is dope. Like, the whole shot rhyme scheme that he does, man, it is. I don't even have the words to describe it because it is, at this point in time, 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. But either way, it is one of my favorite verses in the entire series. It's the way he starts, the way he finishes it. Then Lennon pops in. But my favorite verse from this, the one that I can recite from memory every single time, is Gorbachev. Because did somebody say birthmarks? It's the host with the most glass nose. Assholes made a mess and the war got cold. Like, does he win? I feel like he wins. I feel like he wins. I really do. Like, Putin's verse is kind of weak to me. His was always the weakest one. But that Gorbachev verse, man, you haven't lived until you've greeted one of your homeboys or homegirls with the, "Yo, it's the host with the most glass notes," and they don't know what the fuck you talking about. That, to me, is when art seeps into your everyday life. Okay, we've made it to the top 10. Are you exhausted yet? Are you tired of hearing my voice? Good, because it's almost over. Just hang in there for me, okay? Number 10, MJ versus Elvis Presley. This is a celebrity matchup that makes sense. Two people who've always been compared, right? For their record setting, for what they've done, for their controversial histories and past. The way they go from young MJ and young Elvis to old MJ and older Elvis, I think is fantastic. This is closer than I think a lot of people want to believe. I really love how Mike's second verse is him just rebutting everything that Elvis says and will say in terms of how you gonna talk about the birds and bees? You met your own wife when she was only 14, and then y'all's daughter that you made was my wife. Like, that kind of won the battle right there to me, honestly. Like, nothing Elvis says in the second verse really rebuts that, other than just kind of calling him like, "Oh, you look weak. You're kind of the old, you're a sad white woman who never got to be a kid. The young black boy becomes an old white woman," or whatever. Like, his second verse is fine, but Elvis's first verse is better and Mike's second verse is better. And I feel like that makes the difference in the battle. This is just probably the best executed concept of a battle that they have ever done. Having it be Ivan the Terrible versus a running list of greats is fantastic. The joke of Pompey being killed before he can even start his verse is amazing. Zach Sherwin, again, here we go, delivering in that first verse his whole entire tirade where he does his little fast rap technical skill shit and just absolutely eviscerates Ivan. I love the way they use that to set up the fact that Ivan knows he really can't win without killing these motherfuckers. And so that's what he does, is just kill people. He just poisons Alexander. And then the true winner of the battle, because I feel like Catherine the Great had the best performance, but in terms of bars, in terms of straight up verse, it's Frederick the Great, right? Out the gate, first serving the state, oblique attack tactics, and exactly straight. Like, he came in firing, and then he acknowledged at the end saying, like, "I fought a 7 years war. I'm not scared of a czar because beating you only took me 12 bars. Like, come on, man. But it is neck and neck for me between Frederick and Catherine, because Catherine's verse, especially just the way they let her do the flow, do kind of like the sing rap style flow, I think worked perfectly for the actress Megan Tanhone. I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. Megan Tonjes. I don't know why I was saying Tanhones. Megan Tonjes was fantastic in that role. Just all around, one of the better battles. And what I feel like makes this and the Russians battle stand out to me is that those are the elements of history I don't really like. A lot of my history is U.S. history, particularly post Civil War. Like, that's a lot of what my studies focus on. For those that don't know, I'm working on a doctorate. My doctorate is education policy, but a lot of the focus is history. So I'm already kind of naturally inclined to being interested in history. So the Russian battle made me look into a lot of Russian history, and this battle made me look into a lot of the history of Frederick the Great and Catherine the Great in particular. And so I really appreciate when battles do that, when they draw my interest into something that I usually wouldn't gravitate toward myself. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit of a long one because I'm combining two together. I know that's kind of cheating, I understand, but the other two Donald Trump presidential rap battles are this high for a number of reasons. So number one, Trump versus Hillary is a well-written battle. I love every single bit of it. I love Hillary's lines. I love the lines that they give Trump. Let me go ahead and state something before we get a little bit further in this entry, because a lot of people complain about this one and the Trump versus Joe Biden, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. And they say, oh, well, they're showing their bias. They're showing who they vote for and who they like. Okay, motherfucker. And like, number one, it's not as if they're making up lines for Trump. These are the things that he actually said, things that he campaigned on, and they used them in rap verses. And that is very hard to do. Like, to actually do that and not make it feel forced is very tough to do. You're taking people's actual words and you're turning them into rap, right? Lloyd plays him perfectly. He does a fantastic job, but we need to talk about that Hillary verse first, because that gets overlooked at how unhinged, because of how unhinged Trump's verse becomes, and then the appearance of Lincoln. But let me just say a couple different things, because she comes out with the anger that she's kind of justified in having, where she's like, I've been in this game too long. I'm a public servant, because she's been in the public eye at that point for like 20 something odd years, and everything that she ever did, like from the minute that she showed up in the White House with the trying to pass the universal health care and everything like that, she has been ridiculed. So for the last 20 years, that has been like, she's coming with the energy that she's been portrayed as for the last 20 years at that point. I think that's important to note. But just the whole thing from I was in the West Wing while you were professional wrestling, the turnaround to then talk about the when the beat drops for her and she goes, how do I say this? You're racist. You must get so pissed that your hands are too small to stop and frisk. Because you use your fingers to touch chicks. She's only 12 years old. That's enough shit. But she's married, sir. Just got to get pushy. That's your daughter. Well, grab him by the pussy. Every line she said, there is something he said. And the way that it's pulled together is fucking perfect. Okay? And then ending it with, I brought Michelle's speech, borrow some quotes. Like, the whole thing from start to finish, her verse is fantastic. Then he starts. And it gets unhinged. And it is beautifully unhinged. And what makes Trump work in these rap battles is just like in an actual rap battle where really facts don't matter if you can paint your opponent a certain way, because you're trying to get the crowd and the audience on your side, which is what he does anyway. And it's what he's doing here, right? Your rhymes are trash, put them next to your emails. Like, that is a cold start to a verse. Him calling her the mother of ISIS, him acknowledging that that's probably not true, but he really doesn't care. You want to break the glass ceiling, Hillary, I sense it, but the only crack you'll find is my ass pressed against it. Like, listen, man, he was spitting, okay? That's the only time you won't hear me say this shit, all right? On the other side, the Joe Biden and Donald Trump rap battle, better than any of them, okay? I've got them kind of tied here for a number of different reasons, but it's better than any of them because they give them both two proper verses, which we hadn't seen, right? Because Obama and Romney got interrupted. Hillary and Trump get interrupted. Kamala and Trump get interrupted. This is the only one where they do a two verse, and they're able to really go at each other. They impeach me. I still walk out of DC looking peachy. That is one of my favorite bars in the entire series. And really the only heavy-handed line in here is the Breonna Taylor line. But also, again, it's in context with something that Joe Biden said on the campaign trail. So, like, everything in these verses are things that both of them were saying at the time, and to take these and turn these into a rap battle and into a song is phenomenal. Like, I don't think people quite understand the work that goes into that. Pulling in the person, woman, man, camera, TV line, I don't even know how many people actually like recall where that line was from, where he was talking about his cognitive test that they were asking him to take. This was happening in 2020, right? Like, I think a lot of people just miss these things because a lot of people just don't really engage and tune into politics, and I understand why a lot of people choose not to. My line is always that if you don't do politics, politics is going to do you. But regardless, I think it's because a lot of these things are stuff that you just have to be politically brain rotted to have pulled reference and understood. But they're some of the most technically well-written rap battles in the entire series. And I'm tired of people pretending that they're not and just getting butthurt because they probably are fans of Trump and don't like the way he's portrayed, even though, once again, it's just the shit that he already said. Which that also gets into a whole thing about being fans of rap, which is traditional. I'm not going to get into that because that's a little too complicated and convoluted for some of y'all. So we're going to keep moving. Another incredibly vicious rap battle with two people just going at each other's throats. I think the way that they incorporate anime and video game stuff from Ash into this, Darwin calling that man Mighty Morphin Michael Vick was, oh my God, that shit was good. I'm split between who's won on these. I go back and forth every time I watch it. I do think that more often than not, I lean towards Ash over Darwin, but it's really hard to definitively say. The TB and Scarlet Fever gotta catch. Oh God, I messed it up. I was so hype about it. TB and Scarlet Fever gotta catch them all line. Like that's a dagger. That's a fucking dagger. If you would have caught me a couple years ago, I would have had this in my top 3, but it does fall out a little bit for a number of different reasons. Partially because I think I don't really know why I had it in my top 3 to begin with. It is a great battle to me. It's one of the better ones, especially the way that the two of them go at each other. I think the start of it always makes me hungry. But the start of it with Ramsey just basically immediately dismissing Child as like not worth his time. Like, hey, I've got 2 minutes. We need to wrap this up. I ain't got time for it. I'm too successful for this, right? And then Julia Child just sort of attacking the way that he's online, or not online, but like his TV personality is, where he's just a dick, right? And her calling that out and talking about how that doesn't really make one a good chef or inspire great cuisine, right? And that it's mainly for TV and all of that, because a lot of stories about Gordon Ramsay are stories of him just being this nice stand-up dude, right? This nice chill dude, especially with children, but that he plays up a lot of this shit for TV, and it is to show how intense kitchens can be, but that's not the long and short of it, right? But I'm sorry, Memory Hart does such a fantastic job as Julia Child, with the voice, with the flow, the way the beat changes for her verse. I've always loved and appreciated, like isn't that a wonderful thing? Like, I think she is great here. She portrays Julia Child as well as anybody could. And some of the bars that she gives in that second verse, the setup of, hey, I got this in the bag. Like, yeah, you're a Michelin star chef, but like, you're a piece of shit. Like, I could freeze a steak with those frosted tips. Whatever with all the bitter taste from the words from your lips. You scream at women, but the fits that you're given make you the pissiest in the kitchen. That is one of the most well-delivered lines in the series, and for that reason, that's probably why it's that high for me. Watching Juliet solo a 2v2, even in her dying breaths, is like watching Tom Brady play the quarterback position. It was one of the most solid takedowns they've ever written. Everything she says, you can see, just pisses off Bonnie and Clyde. You're not a true romance. You're just a conjugal visit. Oh, but that's not really your real husband now, is it? Like, bro, understand that hurt me. That hurt my feelings. And none of these people are actually battling each other. This is a song written in the style of a rap battle, and that shit hurt me, dog. And her final line of, "Oh, I am killed. What irony is this? A lead role shot down by a failed actress." bruh. And one of the reasons why I have this so high on the list, but I didn't include the Christmas Carol rap battle, is because even though this is telling the story of both Bonnie and Clyde and Romeo and Juliet, I feel like it's much more put together in terms of also being a rap battle, right? Instead of it just kind of being a bunch of people popping in and out to tell the Christmas Carol story. So that is why this one is on the list and that one is not, and why it's so high. Okay, stop me if you heard this one before. A season 6 battle being praised and seen as, I don't even want to say this one's underrated because I feel like it's properly rated. I feel like a lot of people love this battle, especially just how well drawn out again it is. This is another one that is 3 verses for each person and every verse is solid. The Joker's rhyme scheme where he is rhyming mid bar, where he does the whole Tim Scurry to drop bars, Bill Skarsgård's and Arkham. That whole scheme is so fucking dope. I can't praise it enough. But even that, like, Pennywise is no slouch throughout the whole thing, right? The Pennywise likes the devil. We have so much fun together, but no one's dying to play with Joker except for maybe Heath Ledger. And like, it's a line that you can see coming, but it's so well written and executed that you're like, okay, you got me. I didn't know how you were gonna do that one, right? It's so well edited. It's so well performed. I absolutely love and adore this battle. It deserves being in this spot. Now, I know some of y'all looking at me crazy because you're like, how the fuck is this battle this high? It does get a T-Pain bounce. I'm not gonna lie to you. T-Pain being in here does bounce this pretty high because this is a relatively short battle and it's particularly one-sided. But T-Pain's lines as Stevie Wonder are so good. This is one of the ones that I will just sit here and sing to myself. Like the flip on "You Are the Sunshine of My Life" to start his verse where he goes, I feel like this is the beginning. That, I mean, listen, man, T-Pain is one of my favorite artists, so I understand that I've got bias here. I really do, and that's probably why this is so high. But his entire first and second verse, how you gonna talk about a bat being blind? You need to echo relocate to the 4th of July because you're Miss Independent, or at least you tried, but your first story is you running off with a guy. Even before that, where he goes, I'm a man from higher ground, and I say DC is a whole step down, not just referencing that, you know, what he felt of DC and really the DCU at the time, but the whole octave scale, the musical scale of DC, like being a step down on the music scale. Like, bruh, come on, man. I've been spitting out oh my God. I've been spitting out hits since both fingertips. So use the tip of your fingers and read my lips, bro. Like, come on. And Lily Singh as Wonder Woman is also great. She gets a lot of good bars in too, with the whole "you bitch your whole style from Braid," the grin and the sway, and the grin and the shades and the King Cobra head sway. Like, she does get some bars in. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but like Stevie's first and second verses, man, like, your ignorant questions can never cause as much pain as not knowing how stupid you look in your airplane. You're a misguided C- on the Bechdel test joke, and my worst song is better than your best TV show. That ends it. Like, it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing else to say. He just wrecked the entire thing from that verse. Again, this is an entry that I know most people probably won't have this high. And I'm not advocating for you to have it this high. This is my list. This is what I put at number 3. Okay, I went back and forth on my top 2 for a number of reasons. Number 1 is because what I ended up settling on as my number 2 is a one-on-one versus the last one being a kind of battle royale that ends up happening. And so I was like, well, do I want to honor a traditional rap battle more, or do I like it when the chaos ensues? And chaos won out. So at number 2, the reason why I have Mansa Musa and Bezos this high is for a couple of reasons. So I know that Screwface has gotten himself into a lot of controversy, and a lot of people are kind of really not on his side or turning on him right now for a variety of reasons. And, you know, that sucks. That's not my battle to fight. I don't really know. I stay out of that because I'm not involved in the communities that he's apparently doing that in, and I'm not going to stick up for somebody I don't know. But what I will say is, what I think is dope is the fact that he was doing these ERB reactions and his channel blew up off of that. And Peter and Lloyd saw that and said, let's get him in a battle. And I think that's dope. I think it would be great to see some of those other guys who were doing reactions to ERBs, funny enough, like, you know, Knox Hill or something like that, getting involved in these, because I think it's a great way to showcase and really praise the community. I know ERB isn't really active that more. I know there are other rap battle channels. Those are not for me. So anyway, with all of that precedence out the way, let me talk about what I really love about this battle. Aside from the fact that it's a really good beat, right? It's a really good battle. The comparison of real life figures is very apt, right? Especially at the time, because Bezos was the richest man on Earth, and Mansa Musa is reportedly, up until a point in time, the richest man to have ever lived, or one of the richest men to have ever lived. I think the matchup is phenomenal. And I think the way they both approach the matchup, the way that the beat changes from sort of like the sand and desert vibe into sort of like the technical side whenever Bezos starts rapping, it's really well done. And then the verses. Like, Screw absolutely killed it as Mansa Musa. The first verse is fantastic. That second verse is what gets me, though. Like, if I am, like I said, if I resort to an ERB playlist, it's either because I'm deep in the cut for my playlist in the gym or on the road. I drive a lot for work, both, you know, for what I have to do for work and to get to my job. So a lot of times I'm just out of podcast, I'm out of playlist, and we put on ERB. The first song that gets played is this. It's this. Like, it gives me what I need energy-wise, right? But then that second verse, Ayo Lex Loser. Like, let's talk about that start. You look like a villain at Comic-Con. You getting ate up. You should have battled me at Ramadan, bruh. Come on, man. Come on, man. Now, I will say the one woman, Jeff, and she cut you in half. Bezos gives a great rebuttal to later when he says, you know, what did we give McKinsey, 40 billion, so what? Making every penny back only took me a month. This is just, it's one of my favorite battles from, like I said, a technical standpoint, a production standpoint. The artists that are involved in it were phenomenal. There's not a missed line anywhere in here to me. And ultimately, it just lost out to chaos.
No, fingerprints.
I don't think so.
Upper crop bottles of our story. Steven Spielberg versus Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay, so what have we learned? There are a lot of things that I love about ERB, and what I really love is when things get chaotic, right? Well written, but chaotic. And the director's battle is the battle that showcases this the best to me. It is the best battle royale battle. It is the best in terms of the way that the beat escalates. There's a theme throughout. Everybody's dunking on Michael Bay, only for him to show up at the end and dunk on everybody else. It is just well put together. Every verse, there's no wasted moment to me, right? So you have Steven Spielberg opening up on Alfred Hitchcock and how he felt slighted and disrespected by him, but also just look at what I've done, look at what I do now, look at how big I am, right? Look at how respected I am. And then Hitchcock talking just kind of about the foundations, the classics, like his level of creativity for the limitations that he had and how he was able to murk magic with a bottle of ketchup, right? He said, or no, not ketchup. He said, I squeezed dreams out of a bottle of syrup. Wax showing up the first time around as Tarantino. Actually, I think it was this verse with him as Quentin Tarantino that made me realize that he was an actual artist. So I look him up. It turns out he's doing songs with like Bus Driver and Open Mike Eagle, who are like two of my favorite artists. Not my favorites, but two of my favorites. Stanley Kubrick coming in and making amazing use of the Kubrick stare, right? Of talking about his techniques as a director, using that in his bars and his raps is just so well done. And then again, once he dunks on Ninja Turtles, Michael Bay coming in and saying, I have enough. And honestly, I also love how they all represent different styles, with Bay kind of representing mainstream pop rap, right? Like he comes in and he's doing this loud, bombastic, bragging sort of rap style. And I think it just works. It's so well done. Like, I cannot praise this battle enough. It is by far my favorite. And like I said, I went back and forth between this and Bezos and Mansa Musa, just because I didn't know which one of these two I wanted to honor more in terms of what they bring to the table. But this one won out. Went back and listened to both of them several times, and this is the one that came to the front. So, okay, I believe that's everything, but I have this weird sinking feeling that there's going to be a bunch of comments underneath about the 5 or 6 videos that I somehow forgot. I swear to God, there's only 91 is what I believe and or 91 as of this recording, and I wasn't including 3 of them. So there should have only been 88 slots. There should have only been 88 slots. So I don't know what I did wrong to where I had to combine 2 of the presidential battles together, but it worked out in the end because I wanted to talk about them at the same time, and I kind of ranked them next to each other anyway. So that's my video. There's more coming. If you have not already, like and subscribe to the channel, hype the video, all of that fun stuff. If you made it all the way through, I greatly appreciate it. If you skimmed some of the way through, that's cool. I appreciate it. Leave a comment to help with the engagement. We're trying to do more with this channel in the 3 videos that we post a year. One day it'll be more than that. But in the meantime, y'all take it easy. Follow us on the BlueSky at thekidswearcrowns.bsky.social. You can follow me at eagleeye1906.blacksky.app, I think is what it is. Just search it. You'll find me. It's all good. And join the Discord. The link will be in the description below. If you want to join the Discord and get involved in our conversations, please do so. We're trying to grow it right now. It's kind of slow. It's just sort of us and a few friends. But I'd love to get more people on board who engage with the content here. Don't come in on no bullshit, though. Don't come in on no bullshit. Don't be rude, disrespectful. We will boot you.